Hey guys, Louie here. I am on eBay, and no, I'm not looking for a cell phone. I was noticing that my 10 times Ebates have completely disappeared, and it is not the end of the period. I'm not sure what's up, but this is what I was going to buy. Let me see if I can go back to it real quickly here. I won't take you through the process, but if I were to activate this 10% ebucks offer, it doesn't seem to matter. I was going to buy um, a Lunar 2 set. This one right here. I don't know if you've seen it or not, and it's too late now, but yesterday, or was it the day before, whenever that 10% first came out, I was going to buy this 11-piece Lunar set, one from Complete. Beautiful set, Lunar 2. It was $4.79 and I was going to get $47 off on it. I was thinking about making an offer as well. It brought the price down to like $39 a coin or something for a complete Lunar 2 set. So I thought that was a pretty good deal, but the Ebates have, I'm sorry, the ebucks have completely disappeared. Not even the 1% are there anymore, even if I reload. And even if I go into a cell phone or, um, like the cell phone here, ebucks are completely gone. And I am in the, I'm in the program, and I do qualify for the 10%. So I don't know if you experienced that as well, but next time I won't wait so long to buy something. But that Lunar 2 set looked pretty sweet to me. If you could get those for like 39, 35 bucks a coin on average. That came with the case as well. Well, I'm just sitting here on a Saturday night and, looking for interesting things. One of the things that I like to do is review real estate, around the area. And this particular house I'm looking at here, let me see how big I can make that. This particular house I'm looking at here, Zillow says is worth $1.67 million. And it's not far from me. But do you want to know the story of that house? Um, I don't want to give away where I live, but let me tell you the story of this house. So this house is over 5,000 square feet. It has a gigantic pool. I thought it had a tennis court, but it had some other stuff going on back here. A full acre of land. Well, this individual bought this house around 2005, or not this individual, but this house was first sold around 2005, 2006, back when the market was booming, right? Just booming. And this individual, a dentist who I happen to know, paid about 1.3 million for it. And of course, he put in his pool, and he put in his flooring, and he put in all of his landscaping, and his hardscape, and his wiring, and his outdoor, sprinklers. And anyway, by the time he got done, he had at least $1.5 million in this house. But he, like I, thought that houses were going to keep going up. And you know what? This house did go up in value for about 18 months. And then, we hit the top of the last market prior to the recession. And like many people, he thought, well, you know what? Nothing goes up forever. We'll go sideways for a while. But in fact, what happened within a couple years, we started heading back down. And his $1.5 million house was worth $1.4 million, and then $1.3 million, and then $1.2 million. And then, the economy really fell apart, and people started losing their jobs. And, the subprime crisis. And banks were cutting back on equity lines of credit, HELOCs they called them. And interest rates were starting to reset, and the market was headed down. We were headed into recession. But not only was housing going down, the stock market was going down. But people were just a little bit too blind to think that they should sell their homes. And what ultimately happened with this individual, who I knew, he wound up in a position where his mortgage, often these mortgages were approaching $1 million, he wound up in a position where his house was worth less than his mortgage, and he gave his house back to the bank. Matter of fact, many people in this neighborhood that I'm showing you gave their houses back to the bank. In the case of the dentist, I think it might have been a short sale, but he walked away with absolutely nothing. I'm not sure how much of his life savings was in that house, but I can tell you that what wasn't in that house was very likely in the stock market. And the stock market was also worth 50 to 60% of what it had been worth a few years earlier. In the end, the dentist sold this house for $895,000 at the very bottom of the trough. The very bottom of the trough is a time where you might remember people were saying things like, the stock market will not recover until a generation has passed. We will not get back up to the highs again for a generation, and housing will not recover. This is also the time that institutions started to buy these houses. So many people gave their house back to the bank and walked away with nothing. Some people, decided that they would. So I decided to flip over here to the page, the price and tax history. Now you saw what Zillow said it's worth today, 1.6 million. Well, I think that's overpriced. But nonetheless, here is the event. Here's what the individual bought the house for in 2006, $1,396,000. Oh, actually more than I recalled. In 2012, he listed it for $1,250,000. In January, but by July he realized the only way, then he changed the price to $949,000 in May, and by July he had given up and basically gave the house away for $895,000, which I presume was what he owed on the house. Perhaps he kept his credit intact. But this individual walked away from this house because he could not stand the idea of his house being worth less than he owed. Now, right after he sold it to the person who bought it at the short sale, and that gentleman apparently had a fair amount of cash, maybe he had $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, but he came in and bought that house. And this is the individual that still occupies this house today. The house that Zillow says is worth $1.67 million. I'd be shocked if he got more than 1.4 or to 1.5 for it. He probably should have sold it last year. But from 900,000 to 1.5 million. That's the kind of opportunity that may present itself again. If you have your powder dry, if you're out of the market like I am right now, waiting for the next fallback, it is there. These cycles do happen and they repeat, and the top of the market has already come off. Right, so houses, they're saying that that large houses are not selling. They're saying that things are slowing down and we've lost the summer. So there are individuals, in this neighborhood that are selling their house for far, far less than this. So if he were to go to sell, he'd have to compete against people who are selling similar homes for $1,300,000 and $1,350,000. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful home, and he potentially made a bunch of money. And I wonder if that's happening again. Matter of fact, I'm predicting that's happening again, and I will have my cash ready to buy this house. Well, maybe not that house, because I plan on buying something modest next time, something maybe I can buy even for cash and own, because no one needs a house this big. But when this house is at $900,000, you'll know we're back at the bottom of the trough again. And let's wait for it. Let's wait for it. If you're buying this house at 1.7 million today, thinking it's going to 3 million, think again. I think the paradigm has changed. I think the appreciation that our parents and grandparents saw. You know, I remember when I bought my first condo, I was 22. I bought a little condo in Orange County. Interest rates were 18%. My mortgage was 15%. And I got the down payment, not because I had money, I got the down payment because I had credit, and I took a cash advance on my credit card and bought that condo. Well, a couple years later, I sold it for a profit, and that became the beginning of my equity nest egg. I guess I should thank Jimmy Carter for the runaway inflation that started houses being worth more and more and more. But nonetheless, that paradigm is changing. I really don't think that is what we're going to see in the future. And I think if it does continue to happen, we're going to have a sizable reset before it does. So don't be the dentist. Don't be the guy that pays full price and then dumps it at the bottom of the next recession. Be the guy that's ready to buy it at the bottom of the next recession. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, guys, I was going to do some coin shopping, but I think I'll just let this video stand for now and talk to you later. Louie out.